Adaku stood at the edge of the village, her heart pounding as she stared at her reflection in the river. The moonlight revealed her secret, the scales creeping up her legs, the slow transformation that would soon turn her into something terrifying. She clenched her fists, trying to hold back the tears. How long could she keep this hidden? How long until someone found out what she really was? Loved ones. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more enchanting tales just like this one. Thank you. Now let's continue. In the small village of Nkwo, people lived simple lives. They farmed, they laughed, and they gathered at the market every day. Among them was Adaku, a girl known for her kindness and beauty. Everyone loved her, but no one knew the secret she carried. Adaku always arrived at the market early, sold her fresh fruits, and left before the sun began to set. The villagers often wondered where she lived, but no one dared to ask. Adaku preferred it that way. One day, a young man named Chima came to the village. He was tall, with bright eyes and a smile that made people feel at ease. He had heard about Nkwo's market and wanted to buy some fresh vegetables. As he walked through the market, he saw Adaku and was immediately drawn to her. She was different from everyone else. There was something mysterious about her that Chima couldn't resist. "Hello," Chima greeted her with a warm smile. "I'm Chima. What's your name?" Adaku smiled back, though she felt a twinge of worry in her heart. "I'm Adaku," she replied softly. "How can I help you today?" Chima chatted with her, buying some fruits and vegetables. He was captivated by her gentle voice and kind eyes. Soon he found himself visiting the market every day, just to see her. They became friends, and Chima began to feel something deeper for Adaku. But each time he tried to get closer, Adaku would pull back, her eyes filled with a sadness that Chima didn't understand. One evening, as the market was closing, Chima noticed that the sun was setting. Adaku was packing up her goods, and Chima, concerned for her safety, offered to walk her home. Adaku hesitated, fear flashing in her eyes, but Chima insisted. As they walked, the forest around them grew darker, and a cold wind began to blow. Chima felt a chill down his spine, a strange sensation like someone or something was watching them. Suddenly, he felt a cold hand on his shoulder. He spun around, but there was no one there. His heart raced with fear, and he looked at Adaku, who was walking ahead, her face pale and tense. "Adaku," Chima stammered, his voice shaky. "I think I should go back. It's too dark." Adaku stopped and turned to him, her eyes filled with sadness. "It's okay, Chima. You can go back if you're scared." Chima nodded, too frightened to argue. He turned and ran back to the village, his heart pounding in his chest. That night, he couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the cold hand, the darkness, and the look in Adaku's eyes. Days passed, and Chima stopped going to the market. He was too afraid of what he had felt that night, but he couldn't stop thinking about Adaku. Why had she been so calm? What was she hiding? Adaku, too, felt the weight of what had happened. She missed Chima's company, but she knew she couldn't let him get too close. She couldn't let anyone know her secret, that she was not just a human girl, but something else entirely. As the days went by, Adaku became more withdrawn, spending less time at the market and more time near the river, where she could be alone. She knew she couldn't hide forever, but she didn't know how to face what was coming. The transformation was getting worse, and soon she feared everyone would know the truth. One day, a stranger came to the village. He was older, with a wise, knowing look in his eyes. He called himself Namdi, and he had travelled far searching for someone. When he saw Adaku at the market, he knew he had found her. "Adaku," Namdi said gently, "I know who you are, and I know what you're going through." Adaku froze, fear gripping her heart. "What do you mean?" she whispered. Namdi looked at her with compassion. "You can't hide from this, Adaku. I can help you, but you must trust me." Adaku stared at him, torn between fear and hope. Could this man really help her? Could he save her from the transformation that was slowly taking over her body? She didn't know what to do, but something in Namdi's eyes told her he was telling the truth. I don't want to hurt anyone, Adaku said, her voice trembling. I just want to be normal. Namdi nodded. I understand, but the more you try to hide, the worse it will become. You must face this, Adaku, before it's too late. Adaku felt a tear slip down her cheek. She knew he was right, but facing the truth meant risking everything, her friends, her life in the village, and even Chima. As night fell, Namdi led Adaku to the edge of the village where the forest began. We must go to the shrine, he said. It's the only place where we can find answers. Adaku hesitated, but then nodded. She had no other choice. Together they entered the dark forest, the shadows closing in around them as they walked toward an uncertain future. The forest was dense and silent, with only the sound of their footsteps breaking the eerie stillness. Adaku's heart pounded with every step, her mind racing with questions. Who was Namdi? How did he know about her? And what awaited them at the shrine? As they walked deeper into the forest, the trees grew taller, their branches intertwining above like a thick canopy blocking out the moonlight. The darkness pressed in, but Namdi moved confidently, as if he knew the way by heart. Finally, they reached a clearing. In the center stood an ancient shrine, its stone walls covered in moss and vines. A faint glow emanated from within, casting long shadows across the ground. Adaku hesitated at the edge of the clearing, fear clawing at her insides. She didn't know what would happen once she stepped inside, but she knew there was no turning back now. Namdi turned to her, his eyes gentle but firm. This is the shrine of Amadioha, the god of justice and thunder, he said softly. If anyone can help you, it's him. But be warned, Adaku, the truth may not be easy to hear. Adaku swallowed hard and nodded. With trembling hands, she followed Namdi into the shrine. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of burning herbs. The walls were lined with ancient carvings, telling stories of power, sacrifice, and transformation. At the far end of the room, an altar glowed with a bright light, and above it, a stone statue of Amadioha loomed, his eyes seeming to watch their every move. Namdi approached the altar and knelt, motioning for Adaku to do the same. She dropped to her knees beside him, her heart pounding in her chest. Namdi began to chant in a language Adaku didn't understand, his voice rising and falling like the wind. Suddenly, the air around them crackled with energy, the glow from the altar intensified, and a deep, rumbling voice echoed through the shrine. Who dares disturb the peace of Amadioha? The voice boomed. Adaku gasped, her fear spiking, but Namdi remained calm. Great Amadioha, he called out, his voice steady. We seek your guidance. This girl, Adaku, is in great distress. She is undergoing a transformation she does not understand. We ask for your wisdom and your mercy. The voice was silent for a moment, and then it spoke again, softer this time. Adaku, step forward. Adaku's legs felt like jelly, but she forced herself to rise and walk to the altar. She could feel the power of Amadioha radiating from the statue, filling the room with an almost unbearable intensity. Adaku, the voice said, you are not like the others in your village. You carry the blood of the ancient ones, the protectors of the land. Your transformation is the awakening of this power within you. It is a gift, not a curse. But with great power comes great responsibility. You must learn to control it, or it will consume you. Tears filled Adaku's eyes as she listened. But why now? She asked, her voice breaking. Why is this happening to me? I just want to live a normal life. Amadioha's voice softened even more, almost like a parent comforting a child. You were born with this gift, Adaku, and it is your destiny to protect the land and its people. But your human desires conflict with your true nature. This is why your transformation has been so painful. You must choose. Embrace your destiny and learn to control your power, or deny it and risk losing yourself entirely. Adaku felt overwhelmed. How could she choose between the life she wanted and the responsibility she was born with? She thought of Chima, of the simple happiness she had dreamed of, and then she thought of the villagers who had always been kind to her. Namdi placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Adaku, he said gently, this is not a choice you have to make alone. You have me and I will help you, but you must decide what path you want to take. Adaku closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. She could feel the power within her, a warmth that spread from her heart to every part of her body. It was frightening, but it was also a part of who she was. I don't want to hurt anyone, she said finally, opening her eyes. If this power can be used to protect the people I care about, then I will embrace it. I will learn to control it. Amadioha's voice rumbled approvingly. A wise choice, Adaku. But know this, your journey will not be easy. There will be those who fear you, and there will be challenges you cannot yet imagine. But if your heart remains true, you will find the strength to overcome them. Nimdi smiled at her, pride shining in his eyes. You've made the right decision, Adaku. We will face whatever comes together. Adaku nodded, a new sense of purpose filling her. She wasn't alone, and she wasn't powerless. With Namdi's help, she would learn to control her transformation, to use her powers for good. But as they left the shrine and stepped back into the dark forest, Adaku couldn't shake the feeling that her real challenges were only just beginning. She had chosen her path, but what lay ahead was unknown and dangerous, and somewhere deep inside her, a voice whispered that there were still secrets yet to be uncovered, secrets that could change everything. As Adaku and Namdi made their way back through the forest, the air felt heavy with the weight of the decisions made and the uncertain future that lay ahead. The path seemed longer and more twisted than before, and Adaku couldn't shake the feeling that something or someone was watching them. Stay close, Namdi whispered, his voice tense. He sensed it too, the presence lurking in the shadows. Suddenly the forest grew unnaturally silent. The usual sounds of rustling leaves and distant animals faded away, replaced by an eerie stillness. Adaku's heart pounded as she tightened her grip on the basket she carried, trying to stay calm. But before she could voice her fears, a figure emerged from the shadows, blocking their path. It was Chima. Adaku! Chima called out, his voice filled with desperation. I've been searching for you. I made a mistake. Please forgive me. Adaku froze, her heart torn between relief and fear. She had thought about Chima every day since he had disappeared from the market, wondering why he had suddenly left her life. Now, seeing him here, her emotions swirled in confusion. But Namdi stepped forward, his expression guarded. Chima, he said firmly, this is not the time or place for apologies. Adaku has chosen a path, and it is not one that involves you. Chima ignored Namdi, his eyes locked on Adaku. I was a fool to run away, Adaku. I let my fear control me. But I've come to realize that I love you, no matter what you are. Adaku felt a surge of emotion at his words, but she remembered Amadioha's warning and the promise she had made. She knew that love could not be built on fear or selfishness. She had to stay true to the path she had chosen. I'm sorry, Chima, she said softly, her voice steady. I care for you too, but I have responsibilities now, ones that I cannot turn away from. You must go back to the village and live your life just as I must live mine. Chima's face fell, his eyes brimming with tears. But I can help you, Adaku. We can face whatever comes together. Namdi shook his head. Chima, you don't understand the gravity of what Adaku is dealing with. This is not something you can simply walk into. It's a burden that she must bear, and you can't take it away from her. Chima looked at Namdi, and for the first time, he seemed to grasp the seriousness of the situation. Slowly, he nodded, though his heart was heavy with disappointment. I understand, he murmured, stepping back. I wish you nothing but the best, Adaku. May you find the strength and peace you seek. With one last sorrowful look, Chima turned and walked away, disappearing into the darkness of the forest. Adaku watched him go, her heart aching, but she knew it was the right decision. She had to let go of the past to fully embrace her future. Namdi placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. You did the right thing, Adaku. The path of destiny is never easy, but it is one that you must walk with courage and clarity. Adaku nodded, her resolve strengthening. Together, she and Namdi continued their journey back to the village, where Adaku would begin her training to harness the powers within her. She would learn to protect the land and its people, just as Amadioha had foretold. But she also knew that this journey would not be one of isolation. She would have Namdi by her side, and the support of those who believed in her. Over time, Adaku became a protector of the village, using her powers to keep the land safe from harm. The villagers, once fearful of the unknown, came to admire and respect her for her bravery and selflessness. They understood that true strength came from within, and that it was not the power itself that defined a person, but how they chose to use it. Adaku and Namdi formed a bond that was unbreakable, built on trust, respect, and the shared goal of protecting the village. They worked together to maintain the balance between the human world and the mystical forces that surrounded it. The villagers often told the story of Adaku and her journey, a story of courage, sacrifice, and the choices that shape our lives. And as the years passed, the story became a legend, passed down from generation to generation. True strength lies not in the powers we possess, but in the choices we make and the courage we show in using them for good. The path of destiny is often difficult and filled with sacrifices, but it is only by staying true to our values and responsibilities that we find true peace and fulfillment. Love, when built on understanding and respect, can overcome even the greatest of challenges, but it must be grounded in truth and integrity to truly thrive.